Joining me from Chief Executive Women is Susan Metcalf, CEO, and it is a pleasure to have you joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Great, thank you. Susan, I'd like to kick off just by understanding from your point of view, what challenges has the pandemic brought to the membership of Chief Executive Women?
Yeah, it's been a very trying time for everybody, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The pandemic's had impact across the community, and that the women who are members of CEW are no exception. The CEW is a membership organisation for women who are very senior, very influential, and at decision-making levels of their organisations. So throughout the pandemic, they've carried extremely high levels of responsibility, both in terms of their organisations, but also caring for their teams. One of the key attributes of CEW is, as a membership organisation, the connections between members are really important. And so through this pandemic time, many of them have leaned on one another for support or been able to access the sorts of support and networks that they've wanted. So it's been quite an important moment, I think, for people to know who they can rely on and who they can reach out to. And in our instance, that's one of the great opportunities that Salesforce and the work that we do as a membership organisation have enabled us to do.
And so how have digital solutions aided you in gaining and nurturing membership?
So we're an invitation-only organisation. So people have to meet a membership criteria and they are invited to join when they reach those most senior levels of organisations. The digital solutions that we have around membership, we do have the Salesforce database that sits behind and allows us to manage our interaction with our members. And we also have a member hub that is enabled by Salesforce. The member hub has access to a lot of events, information, and to other members on it. And behind Salesforce, we also use we use communication channels that are enabled by Salesforce. So neither of those two things would we have been able to do without the right digital solution.
Have you seen changes in levels of engagement or types of engagement from members during this time?
A really good question. Particularly early in the pandemic, we used online events quite a lot just to reach out with information to people. We have an incredible network that has knowledge across the community in all kinds of places, from business to government to academia. So we were able to bring a lot of that information together, particularly early in the pandemic. And we found amongst members there was a great drive to gather that information, hear other people's experience, understand what others were doing, and to be able to take that information back themselves and make decisions about their own business. So early in the pandemic, certainly very highly engaged around that knowledge gathering and sharing piece. Later in the year, we ran a major event online. We normally have, as part of our fundraising, a very significant dinner every year in Sydney. We went to an online event this year at very short notice, and again, enabled by the digital tools, we did that, and resulted in very wide reach across the community, broader than we would normally reach in our membership base. So we had some 4,000 people online for that event. So it was a very exciting event and a great impact for us, and a great opportunity for us to not only express support to the more general community, but for them to hear some very key messages from CEW. As we've gone on in 21, engagement has continued, and particularly in specific areas of interest, so around particular topics. In the last few days, for example, we've been talking to members about different policy and advocacy topics, and in roundtables that we've been able to bring together by reaching out and inviting all our membership base and bringing them into a digital platform to talk about issues that are very timely and important at this moment in time, related to both government regulation, things like vaccine rollout, health issues, how are business dealing with different things, what should government be thinking about, what should we as CEW be thinking about, how do our members need support. So the nature of that engagement over the period of time has changed. I would not say the level of engagement has changed, because people have been very motivated to be connected.
Wow, that's really interesting. Did you used to do roundtables on topics of the moment prior to the pandemic and the move to digital?
It's something we've done increasingly over time, and it's certainly a topic of interest for our members. In the past, we would have come together face to face. But the move to digital, although it's thrust upon us like everybody else, has meant that we've been able to bring different groups of people together rather than in that face-to-face interaction. Now we can have a national platform and somebody from WA and somebody from Queensland and somebody from Victoria all in the same room around the same topic.
Yeah, I really, really like how access to those sorts of forums has improved so much, just because it doesn't matter where you are, you can come together and have those conversations.
It's true.
Thank you. And so, you've tackled some challenges in terms of engagement and bringing memberships together and being able to foster those connections. Is there anything that you would have done differently through your, transition to a digital platform that you would, recommend that others think about if they're embarking on something similar?
The smartest thing we did in relation to our transition to Salesforce was have a dedicated project manager in-house who is interested in the technology, very capable in technology, understands the business and what we needed to bring together. So we resourced it quite explicitly around having a project manager that owned it, and we certainly endorsed her position in the organisation to be able to gather the input and the resources and the people that she needed around different parts of that implementation. So that worked really well, and I couldn't recommend that highly enough in terms of having somebody really own the project. We're only a very small not-for-profit organisation. We only have 16 staff, but even still, it was definitely worth the investment, having somebody own the project internally. We took her off other roles and backfilled her role, and meant that she could spend 100% of her time on this project. And that was great for us internally. It was great for who were our implementation partner, because it gave them a point of focus and meant that together we were able to achieve the sorts of outcomes we needed through that base.
Great, thank you. And it's really interesting to hear how having that dedicated focus has been important with that executive endorsement as well to make sure that they're able to be effective.
Yep, absolutely.
And so that person, is she still in that role, or has her role evolved since the project, I guess, has been implemented?
She continues to be a Salesforce owner inside CEW. She's not in that dedicated project role anymore. She has quite a few other things to do, but directly related to our members and membership engagement. I think one of the reasons that role was really successful was not only her personally and her skills and experience and interest in the project, but also her knowledge across the business. She was able to bring all the pieces together into the project, and that knowledge continues through to today, where she is one of the owners of it. And whenever we're having a conversation about Salesforce, she understands the implications across the business, or what other pieces might need to be brought into a conversation.
Okay, so that's, I guess some organisations might think to outsource that particular role and think it's useful for, certainly can be a valid approach to have someone external come in and perform that role and then leave again. But it sounds like you found that there's been value in keeping that role ongoing and keeping the business and the technology wedded together.
She's continued as a champion of Salesforce in the business, even though her role is something quite else. In her member engagement role, she has daily interaction with the system and is really great also at encouraging and supporting others to use the system.
Okay, thank you, Susan. All right, well, just really to wrap up, I would love to know if you have any last thoughts or learnings that you'd like to share with others out there who might be looking to improve their relationship with their members.
I can't endorse strongly enough the need for a really great, reliable, relatable database. I've worked in other organisations that also rely on databases. Salesforce is one that I've done a fair bit of work with. I have worked with others that have not been as effective. Without that consistent, accurate transparent data that everybody is able to contribute to and support as a point of focus behind your relationship with an individual, then you just will not have as rich conversations. You will never replace the need for face-to-face or person-to-person, at least, conversations and connections. But if you can have those conversations on a foundation of great data, accurate data, up to date with other people's conversations, then you're going to have a richer, more rewarding conversation.
Yeah, very insightful. Thank you. Well, thank you, Susan. Really appreciate you spending time with us today, and thank you again for your investment in Salesforce and with Data Colada.
It's our pleasure. We appreciate the support from both organisations.
It's my very great pleasure to introduce Lalith Abeysena, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Diabetes Victoria. So welcome, Lalith, and thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Thank you, Jennifer, for giving us the opportunity to talk to you about our digital transformation, and we are very excited to share our journey with you today.
Thank you. Well, look, I'd really like to start off by exploring some of the challenges that the pandemic really brought to Diabetes Victoria's membership.
We are a member-based organization, and we represent all Victorians living with diabetes and those who are at high risk. And there are 350,000 people living with diabetes in the state of Victoria, and there are about roughly 150,000, who are at high risk. So we have been managing the National Diabetes Services Scheme for people living with diabetes for the past 25 years or so. So our primary focus during the pandemic was to make sure that Diabetes Victoria as an organization was there to assist people during the pandemic and actually make sure that we have regular communication with them and to send the message across to them to say that we are here to help no matter what. The other thing actually that we did very effectively was we were actually in the process of embarking on a digital by default strategy. We embarked on that prior to the pandemic, right? And so much so that we take our business continuity plan very seriously, and year on year we do a rehearsal with an external consultant present when we carry out the business continuity plan. And so much so that back in February 2020 we carried out the last business continuity plan that was 1 month prior to the pandemic actually coming into full force. And with several rehearsals that we had carried out over the years, we were pretty certain that within 24 hours, we were able to, operate remotely without affecting our business model. Rehearsing them and putting them into practice is certainly a different ballgame altogether.
Absolutely. That was enormously fortuitous that you did that rehearsal right before the lockdown started across the world. Wow. And really strong governance practices to make sure that these things are executable and ready to go when needed.
In fact, we thrive on strong governance. That is actually one thing that we really thrive on as an organization. So with that, what we did was actually in March, within 24 hours, we have a call center which is a 48-seat call center. All our agents were operating remotely without affecting our service delivery. In fact, during the pandemic, our service delivery went up to 96%, and pre-pandemic it was around the 94% mark. That is purely because of the fact that we have all the bells and whistles that Salesforce we have created within our own platform, within the Salesforce platform, which is actually the world's best CRM system as far as we are concerned. And we have been very fortunate to partner with Salesforce and Data Colada as well, who has been our implementation partner over the years. We have had a long-standing relationship with Data Colada. So now, having a digital by default strategy is one thing, but you've got to take your customer on that journey as well. When you look at our member demographics, our average age of a member is roughly 70 years, right? So whilst it is 70 years, this day and age, 70-year-old is fairly tech savvy in the sense that they all can use a telephone effectively and have basic computer skills. If this happened back in year 1995, it would have been a different story altogether. So with the Salesforce platform that we have established, and with the communication preference center that we have already in place, we know how we needed to communicate. We knew how we needed to communicate with our constituents. So all our touch points are synchronized. What we did was, in the height of the pandemic, we pushed out SMSs, emails, and even hard mail to those who didn't really want accuracy, anything by way of text messages or emails, to ensure that fundamental message we gave to them was, we are there to help. We have the national helpline. They can call us 7 days a week. And that plus the social media, we were very active in the social media space on Instagram, Facebook, and all of that. So that certainly helped us to communicate effectively with our members, and members knew that there was this care factor, and members knew that if they didn't embrace technology, they would be left behind. So the transition from a member point of view, we were able to fast track that digital by default strategy as well during the pandemic. So one of the other things actually that we supply as a value proposition is to provide them with face-to-face events. And that was a challenge. And our signature event, Jennifer, is a Diabetes Expo event where roughly about 5,000 people attend for that event on the day. So we had to be innovative. What we did was, we said we are going to still have that Diabetes Expo event digitally. And there was a lot of accuracy concern raised, with the participation rates and, costs associated with that and whatnot. And to our surprise, there were 3,000 people who attended on the day. And the feedback that we received from them was tremendous.
Well, congratulations to transition from a 5,000 in person to a 3,000 digital experience with great feedback. That's really fantastic, and must also leave your members with the way that you use social media and text messaging and all of these different channels to get information to them. Must have left them feeling very well supported by Diabetes Victoria.
With Salesforce, we have done the profiling of the members. So we send targeted messages, right messages to the right cohort. And in order for us to be able to do that, that's actually the real value proposition for the members. Because, there are several people living with, there are certain types of diabetes, type 1, type 2, and gestational. We can't send type 1 related diabetes material to people living with type 2. It's not relevant. We was very strategic in terms of introducing webinars to our members and to people living with diabetes. So we had actually implemented that a couple of years ago. So once again, pandemic was an opportunity for us. What we did was, the participation rates actually quadrupled. It is now actually about 2,000 people who participate, on a webinar, right? And not only that, actually, when we send invitations out to people to participate on a webinar, we make sure whether they register or don't, we edit the webinar, we do a quality check, and then we push out that webinar link to every single participant so that they could actually go through, participate in the webinar at their leisure. So that was another change actually that we introduced, right? And now I'm very pleased to say that every week we hold a webinar session.
That's fantastic. I mean, that really is fantastic. The having that foundation in place and having that, fortuitously before the pandemic really did set you up for success then when you had to respond very quickly to digital only type of communications. So that's great. And those engagement rates are fantastic as well on webinars. To get a couple of thousand people engaged is brilliant. So congratulations. Tell me, with your that journey, I guess, so around digital transformation, what were some of the things that you really learnt or might even have done differently through your implementation journey, and then I guess as you started to release more capability?
As I said earlier, we were the very first NFP in Australia to implement Salesforce. And during that time, Salesforce didn't have NFP success packs and all of that. So we had to do quite a lot of development work to cater for the needs, to meet the needs of our organization. So we spent fair amount of money. I would say an investment of about $1.2 million to $1.5 million over the years. But I'm very pleased to say that our payback period on that investment was less than 2 years. Everything else, change management, we handled particularly well. We actually see to, it's a journey that we really need to embark on. We had a clear roadmap to make sure that we couldn't move from 19 databases to a single source of truth in 1 year. It had to be over a period of time. You got to make sure that all your employees within the organization, from board right down to the lowest level of employee, embrace technology and embrace a new way of doing business, which is far more efficient and effective than what we have been doing in the past.
Yeah, that's great. Some really important best practices there around a single source of truth from a data perspective, to a clear roadmap and that executive support top down throughout the organization. Really, really great best practices that you've been able to leverage to be successful.
Indeed. And not only that, actually, see, we were essentially a transaction-based organization in the past, right? We had, for example, to manage, we had only 15,000 members back in year 2012, right? Today, it's nearly threefold, right? And to manage 15,000 members and our fundraising arm, we had 12 administrative staff back then.
Okay.
Today, I'm very pleased to say, with all the bells and whistles that we have created, state-of-the-art technology that we have as an NFP organization, we have half a FTE to manage all of that activity. So that tells you a story. So we have actually moved away from being a transaction-based organization to a member-based organization, engaging more with the members, making sure that we understand the needs of the members and catering for the needs of the members, and not making assumptions, based on what their needs, you see.
And that customer centricity is fantastic, and your contact center being able, your contact preferences being able to capture that and then respond to that is very powerful. So then I guess, is there anything that you would recommend to other organizations, other member organizations, about some of the learnings that you discovered along the way that you would like to share?
First thing that they need to do, in my opinion, is actually embrace technology, right? So once you actually make that decision organization wide, you got to make sure that it filters right through from the very top to the bottom, and you got to have a change management plan and a strategy in place so that you communicate that message consistently, right, to at all meetings that you have. And so you take the employees on that journey to make sure, give them the reasons why we are doing that, right? And make sure that you achieve significant efficiencies. Disregard the way you do business currently. That was one of the key things that was central to our success story. We said, we're not interested in knowing how we did business in the past. Let us see how we should do business moving forward, and what needed to be done in order to achieve that. That was accuracy, the biggest accuracy success story as far as Diabetes Victoria is concerned. So you got to, any other organization who wants to embrace change, you got to disregard how you do business. There may be certain components of it that you need to actually take with you, but if you start from where you are and try to make changes, you will end up changing a platform, not necessarily the processes and the way you do business.
Yeah, I really hear you on that, and it's a great opportunity when you're going through this to challenge some of the ways you did things in the past, and use that digital transformation as a way to innovate how you do business in the future.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Well, Lalith, thank you. I've really enjoyed hearing your story. It's really fantastic what you've been able to achieve for your members and for the broader community, and how Salesforce has been able to play a part of that. So thank you very much again for your time, and enjoy the rest of the journey that Diabetes Victoria is embarking on.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, Jennifer, for us to share our success story with you, and perhaps with the wider, community or organizations. Thank you so much once again.
Really like to thank you, Keith, for joining us today to share a bit about your experiences with Salesforce and with Data Collator as part of your role at ADF. Keith is the IT manager at ADF, and so in a great place to be able to share with us some of his experiences in how Salesforce has been working for the ADF organisation. So thank you for joining us, Keith.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So look, I'd just like to start off with just reflecting on the pandemic a little, and just gauge your thoughts on the sort of, what are some of the challenges that the pandemic has brought to ADF's membership?
Well, obviously there has been a lot. Most of the clubs went into shutdown for a long time, so we have two major programs: Good Sports, which is football clubs and soccer clubs and cricket clubs, and local drug action teams, which is a community practice working environment to actually help people with drug issues. But certainly we have had a lot of clubs closed down for the period, so it's been very hard to contact them and progress what they're doing, and actually understand what they're doing. And unfortunately, several clubs have closed, and it's been particularly hard to get a hold of some clubs. But it was a great point in time to actually do a massive upgrade. So we've gone along that line, and Data Collator helped us out for that. And certainly it's been problematic for us, because some of the clubs have not, or clubs or organizations haven't got back to us and said, we're closed for the moment and we won't be coming back for a while. But it's losing track of your customers is the biggest problem that we've had. And there's not a whole lot we can do about it. We have a phone number, and that's basically it.
Wow. And do you see that changing? Like some of the clubs that have closed, do you see them restart?
They're now coming back, yes. So we're getting, well, since we've actually migrated to a new version, so using Lightning, there's been a lot more people come on board, and we can see clubs trickling back into going active and ringing us and letting us know. But we've had, as I said before, we're having a lot of trouble getting all the clubs back.
Yeah, okay, thanks for sharing that. So then you mentioned that since your upgrade, you've been noticing people trickling back again. How have the digital solutions that you've been able to implement helped in gaining or in nurturing those memberships?
Well, we've had a new front end put on for our digital customers. So we went out and talked to our customers, and they said, we're volunteers and we have a phone. We don't usually have a computer on site. So they wanted a digital solution. So we gave them a digital solution, and the people who have come back on board are loving it. It's a very, very well put together piece of software. And with Heroku, it all hooks together seamlessly.
Okay, that's great. And can you share a little more about the experience that that members have now with the solution that you've helped to?
Yeah, so we streamlined everything. Sorry for talking over you there. We streamlined our process quite a lot. We took the opportunity to reduce the number of questions we asked people from a couple of hundred to under 100 to get all the information that we need to keep going. So it has been a long piece of work to get down to that point. And from what we can gather, we are actually hitting the mark. And certainly our customers are enjoying the experience a lot more than they used to, which was basically on a website. We've gone from the website to the mobile phone, and they'd like that a lot more.
Great, that's good. So you've been able to go from a phone-based system to a website, but also delivered on a mobile.
Yes. So basically, we went from a basically semi-paper-based system to then going fully digital into a website, and then we migrated to the new digital option. So it's an actual tuned-in application specifically for good sports.
And you mentioned that the members are enjoying it. What sort of impact has it had on the internal team?
So it's a lot easier. So we've also gone through a restructure at the moment, but certainly it's made their life easier, and that was the whole intent of it. So if you're asking 200 odd questions, it's a lot of hard yakka to actually get it all through. But certainly we can now report on where we are and what progression looks like, and so we've upgraded all those parts as well. And certainly with CongaSign and a few other bits and pieces, we've gone out to automatic updates of Salesforce for things like bank addresses and that sort of stuff, which we would have to have gone out and got before. So it's streamlined the process a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of savings in what we've done so far.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thanks. And so, other membership organisations, would be facing similar challenges. What advice would you give other organisations like yourselves that are looking to better engage their members?
Well, certainly, I would say get to know your audience. Your audience will tell you what they want, and go with it if you can. So we went through the whole experience of taking what is effectively a 50-year-old system and then putting it in Salesforce, then migrating to the website. They didn't like the website very much, but they now like the digital solution. It makes a lot more sense to them. So
really, if I was to paraphrase, making sure that you're building something that the customers are saying, well, members are saying that they specifically want and would find easy, and then developing your requirements from there.
Ease of use is important in that area. So we spent a lot of time trying to work through the framework for the application, and we got it right. We did some testing out in the field, and it all came back positive.
And so how long has it been now since you've had this system live?
So we went live with Good Sports in January, and with the second program in March.
And what plans do you have for the future?
Oh, they're ongoing. So there is phase 2, which will refine our reporting a whole lot. So it's more internal pieces that we want to do. And certainly processes that we've noticed that may not be as streamlined as they could be are going down that line. So we are taking time to manage the processes.
Did you find that you did much process rework as you went about this? Or
yeah, I think that was one of the key things for us, because a lot of our processes were effectively paper-based, but on our website. But we spent a lot of time going through it and making sure the experience was good for the customer, and it was all customer focused.
And were you able to, I guess, in terms of the click versus code promise that Salesforce brings,
Yes.
were you able to leverage out-of-box functionality more with this release and with Lightning compared to needing to customize? Can you share?
I think some of the key wins that we've had so far are around what Salesforce can do for us. With Lightning, it's been a new experience. So we went from having like 1,000 reports that only 20 we used to 20 reports that they all use.
Right.
So it's cut down a lot of time and a lot of overhead and a lot of administrative stuff that we reset from the ground up, really. In our processes and procedures.
Yeah, great.
Big learning curve, but we got there.
Good. Well, congratulations. It sounds like you've been able to really transform that engagement with members and be able to deliver an experience that they're benefiting from and appreciating the difference.
Certainly, we just want a few more people back, and that'd be great.
Yeah, terrific. Well, look, Keith, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate you spending some time sharing your story with us. And any last comments or recommendations for others that you'd like to share? Yeah,
find a person that works with you, not against you, is my probably biggest piece of advice. Data Collider have worked tirelessly for us, and we've in return given them a lot of work. So yeah, it's just find somebody you can work with.
Well, thanks very much, Keith, again, and appreciate you spending that time with us.
No worries at all. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Hayes and I head up Sales and Culture at Data Collider. Today I'm going to demonstrate our Membership Accelerator, which is a package of components designed by Data Collider to deliver the kind of services most membership organisations want to offer their members through a self-service portal. We've developed a framework to help understand the stages of membership engagement, the behaviours associated with those stages, and metrics that can be used to measure engagement. In stage 1, we seek to inform and educate members. We expect members at this stage to read content and give feedback, and we can measure this behaviour by the number of logins and feedback items. In stage 2, we seek to consult members. We expect members at this stage to show active support through voting and responding to campaigns, and we can measure this through the frequency of their responses, the length of the time they spend on site, and the quality of their comments. In stage 3, we want to collaborate with members. We expect members at this stage to initiate new posts, gain followers, and spend increasing amounts of time on site. We can measure this through the number of followers and the time they spend on site. In stage 4, we start to see high levels of engagement with members directly promoting the organisation. We can measure this through increased referrals and high levels of membership retention. In the final stage, members become partners and co-design, co-sell, and even co-fund the organisation. The framework provides a handy way to think about where you are with your membership and where you want to go. So, on to the demo. Steph is a keen and active member who wants to connect with others, attend events and courses, and maybe get a scholarship. Tom is a membership manager who wants a simple and cost-effective way to engage members through an intuitive self-service portal. Steph is a Harry Potter tragic and a regular visitor to the Magicians and Wizards Association of Australia and New Zealand website. And is an active user of the self-service portal. Amongst other things, she can check her entitlements as a member and quickly see which of these entitlements she has used and which she might be entitled to if she upgrades to the next level of membership. She's already attended 2 of the 3 events that her membership gives her access to. She can quickly access her events and course enrolments and see that she's attended the Potion Enrichment event and registered for the monthly Sydney Witching Hour event. Both of these she booked and paid for easily through Humanitics, which is integrated into the member portal. She's keen to engage with other members, and so she's a regular contributor to Flaming Topics and often scans the list of top questions posted by other members. Recently, she answered a question from a new member, Sue Ann, who wanted to know if she could bring a non-magician guest to a monthly member event. Steph gave a quick and informative answer, yes, but the ticket price varies, and other members who found this answer useful upvoted her answer. Many of her answers have been upvoted, and she has gained 140 points and is now at the top of the leaderboard, and is justifiably proud of the recognition badges she now sees when she logs into the portal. Note that if a member can't find the answers they're looking for in Flaming Topics, they can always chat with an expert, and even though they might not realise that the answers they get often come from an AI-driven expert chatbot built into the system. Steph often browses for other education opportunities offered to members and other events. She can easily purchase event tickets without leaving the membership portal, buy membership discount tickets or full price guest tickets, claim discounts as part of special promotions, and pay with her credit card. She can also see who's attending the event. And she can also see who's attending the event, and she notes with some excitement the famous magician David Copperfield is also attending. As a member, she can see contact details of other members who are keen to network and can click over to David Copperfield's profile page. David has recently become a member, but has gone straight to the top mastery level of membership. But Steph is quietly proud that she has way more recognition points and badges. David is trying to engage other members in a community outreach event, but Steph wants to contact him directly and arrange a meet-up at Magicon. Steph wants to be a better magician, but is having a few financial problems, so she checks the scholarship pages. She also thinks she might be eligible for an illusion and manipulation grant, so she clicks the apply button and submits an application. While she waits for a reply to her application, she checks out the albums of pictures from previous events and previous newsletters. Finally, Steph remembers her friend who she's been encouraging to join up, and so she sends her the link to the membership application form. So Steph is a happy and engaged member. She found it easy to join. The benefits of membership were clear. She has lots of opportunities to meet other members. It's easy for her to register her events, and she can keep up to date with all the news about the organisation. Steph is in stage 3 of our membership framework, as she is starting to gain followers and is moving to stage 4, where she actively promotes the organisation. Tom is also happy. As a membership manager, he's taken advantage of the Data Colada Membership Accelerator, which was built on the very capable Salesforce Nonprofit Success Pack. Data Colada were able to quickly install Tom's chosen payment gateway, EDM tool, form builder, an event manager, and the pre-built standard community cloud components were also included. Data Collider helped seed some example data, added branding, and conducted gap analysis in a fairly short time frame. And this enabled Tom to sell the membership portal idea to the rest of the business and gain support and implement a successful and well-used membership portal that has encouraged members like Steph to become really engaged. Tom has what he wanted. He now manages an intuitive, branded, self-service member community which helped him learn to better understand and engage his growing membership. He now feels confident to take the next step towards digital maturity. Thank you.